Stay ahead of the curve and get updates on the latest strains in politics, government, policies, education, economy, social development, amongst others.
We are happy to announce today that both the federal government and organized labor have agreed on an increase on the 62,000 naira minimum wage.
Join
AYODEJI, AJISOPE,
and
LAFENWA
on from the dailies every weekday from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on Solutions 93.9 FM as they dive into the headlines with in-depth analysis and feedback from you on different stories from the national dailies. Start your day by gaining fresh perspectives, uncovering the story behind the story, and join the conversation. Because your voice matters. From the dailies, the conversation never stops.
It's another beautiful Wednesday morning in a big and beautiful city of Ibadan. Today is the 9th day in the month of October 2024. Thank God for the breath of life. Thank God for counting you and I worthy to be among the living this morning. My name is AYODEJI LAFENWA. You're tuned to Solutions at 93.9 FM, and the program is From the Dailies, the program where we get to take you through the major stories in some of today's national dailies. And this morning I've got about 4 newspapers to look into. I have the Punch newspaper, I've got the Vanguard newspaper, I've got the Nigerian Tribune, and of course the Guardian newspaper. And of course, as usual, I have Comrade AYODEJI AJISOPE with me this morning as my analyst on the program. A beautiful morning to you, Comrade AYODEJI.
Yes, a beautiful morning to you, our listeners and viewers, wherever you may be located. And of course, it's a cool, wet morning here.
Yes, I mean, talking about the wet morning, it's been all rains in this month of October. I mean, are we saying we're having late rains? But I think the rain started early this year.
Well, what I hear from agronomists and farmers is that I think in late July and August, I was told specifically that the rains went away, so to say, for 6-7 weeks, and that was bad for agri.
Okay.
And maybe weather change, climate change. That is happening. So we've been having the rains lately, and the farmers are back.
Okay, do we now say that, okay, there are blessings, these rains are blessings to the farmers?
That's why we call them showers of blessings.
Okay, all right. All right, looking at the stories this morning, I have the Punch newspaper, taking it as the first paper I'll be looking into this morning. I have this one, the biggest story on the front page of the Punch newspaper says, marketers to begin direct Dangote petrol purchase. And right under that says, new pump price looms as National Oil Firm moves to dump 99 billion naira monthly subsidy. Okay, I think Nigerians should brace up for another hike in the pump price of PMS. That's the petrol. Okay, moving away from that, we'll still look into that particular story. Going to Rivers State now. Violence. Fubara orders probe. Wiki alleges disobedience to court orders. Stop crude for loan deals, Dangote tells government. That story is found on page 14 of the Punch newspaper. Oti faction loses as court declares Abure LP chair. And still taking a look at the Punch newspaper this morning, FG shops for permanent secretaries from 8 states. Page 3 of the Punch newspaper has that story. Let me take two more stories or three more stories now. South Korean investors planning for Nigerian refineries, FG. Rescuers comb lagoon for 5 missing boat passengers. And the last one I'll be taking says FG 31 member panel to begin talks with ASU. And moving away from the Punch newspaper, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. Looking at the Guardian newspaper this Wednesday morning, we have this one saying anxiety as FG commits state funds to special development commissions. Wike gives condition to end political crisis in Rivers. Abuja court judgment on VIO inapplicable in Lagos. Government declares. We'll look into that. You know, sometime last week we talked about a court judgment in Abuja.
Was it a federal high court?
I think it's Abuja High Court. Restraining. But we'll look into the story actually. Restraining the VIO from impounding, stopping, or collecting fines from motorists.
Let's simply we just go and take a look, whichever state you may belong to. You take a look at the law, and then you just go to court.
All right. Okay. LP chieftain urges peace as court affirms Abure's National Working Committee. Airline operators opt to patronize Dangote refinery for jet fuel. FG unveils National Values Charter for Nationhood. And the last one on the front page of the Guardian newspaper says court sentences teacher to life imprisonment for defiling 2 7-year-olds. Away from the Guardian newspaper, let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Rivers, obeying rule of law will avert anarchy. Wike and riders under that. Fubara sets up 7-man panel to probe arson killings. Mixed reactions trail Rivers' conflicting court orders. We're talking about conflicting court orders again. And if I may say this, this conflicting court orders seem to be doing a little harm to our democracy than good. We'll look into that particular story in the course of the program.
The drafters, I think we'll need to get a lawyer to break this down for us.
Okay.
But I mean, from even as laymen, the drafters of our laws, you know, how do you confer concurrent jurisdiction on a federal high court? You know, there are state high courts. And then you confer the same jurisdiction that the state high courts have. Yes, ordinarily, it might be to, you know, to enhance and facilitate the delivery, you know, of processes. But when you know that people can subject it to manipulation, and the original objective of setting up federal high court was revenue based, everything that has to do with revenue, you know, so why extend, but you know, politicians and their manipulations.
I mean, we'll look into that, especially when it has to do with the uniformity of the judgment. A particular case is brought to a particular court, they give different orders, another one to another court, and another judge will give a conflicting.
Even judges call it forum shopping.
Okay, we'll look into that. Okay, still talking about court orders now. Court affirms Abure as Labour Party National Chairman. Page 13 of the Nigerian Tribune has that story. Judgment on VIO restrictions not applicable in Lagos. Government. Page 30 of the Nigerian Tribune also has that story. 11 rescued, 5 missing as 2 boats capsized in Lagos. We've been having series of boats capsizing in recent times. I mean, in the last 1 week or 2 weeks now, we've had over 3 or 4 accidents.
Don't forget
that
this is the season for high water, and the tendency is, you know, but you see, it's like the skies and regulation and enforcement of regulation.
And talking about regulation, I mean, are people sticking to the safety rules? Because I personally have seen some boats. I was in Lagos sometime last year, and there was a particular area, and I saw passengers on a particular speedboat, and there were about 20, 25 passengers on that speedboat, and I could count about 3 people that had the life jacket.
That's what I call about regulation and the enforcement of it. You know the ridiculous part? Because I used to travel a lot. There was a time I was, Takwa Bay, an island off the Lagos Island. And of course, most times we'll go by NNPC boats. I mean, you know those boats. But then sometimes, if we're late, we have to go by those they call them flying boats. Of course, you're familiar with these things.
Yeah, I lived in the south. So,
so and you know how they operate now. Those fly boats, you know how they operate. Do they have what do you call it, safety vest? They don't. And then even if they have, Nigerians will not put it on. Can you imagine?
Nigerians will not put it on. I remember there was a time while I was serving in River State, we were to take a trip from Port Harcourt to Okpobo. And those that know River State very well, Okpobo is a small island, where King Jaja of Okpobo is from. So there's a small island there, and we're to go on a speedboat. And I insisted because I've always had this phobia for water. But I could see people willing to embark on that journey without the life jacket. I say, if there's no life jacket, I'm not going on this journey.
So what happened?
They had to provide one.
You see, another thing for use.
I insisted, and they had to provide one. But the excuse was that it wouldn't go round. I said, if it's not going round, if I will be the only one out of
why
this.
will it not go round? You know the carrying capacity of each boat. That's another challenge. It has a specified carrying capacity, yet they will go in excess. And apart from passengers, they will stuff load on top of it. And they will be almost just a few inches away from the water. I mean...
All right, let's take the last newspaper. That's the Vanguard newspaper. Arson, oil output in rivers threatened if Fubara speaking and riders. Fubara, architect of rivers crisis. Wike says arsonists will account for setting LG headquarters ablaze. Vows culprit will be fished out. Swears in BP. 3 others as commissioners. Rivers government constitutes 7-man judicial commission into arsonist attacks. Many stories coming from River State this morning. Away from that now, 2 soldiers, village head son, others killed in Boko Haram ambush. VIO restriction, Abuja court judgment not applicable in Lagos government. That is on page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper. 21 feared dead, 11 rescued as boats collide in Lagos. I mean, collision during in a broad daylight. Boats colliding.
Even at night, you look. One thing I've discovered about, I told you I traveled a lot.
I think that medium of transportation should be looked into. There are so many things going wrong with that, and they're going unchecked.
At night, on water, you see. That's the strange part. You may not see on land, though, but I don't know how it happens. On water, you will see.
So why will 2 boats be colliding, leading to the death of about 21 people?
Can you imagine? I don't. That's what I call regulation. Look, the aircrafts are flying. They have lanes in the air. They have lanes.
Definitely.
You're not just going to be flying around. So why can't we just, regulate? And when you're moving from point A to point B, this you move at so coordinates. All you need compass.
Compass.
Simple compass. Compass is just a basic thing now.
All right, the last story I'll be taking on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper says court orders INEC to recognize Abure as Labour Party's national chairman. So let's go straight to the analysis proper now. And I think this week we've not really talked about the oil sector. So I'd like us to begin with the oil because River State Fubara Wike have taken the center stage this week so far. But let's start with the oil sector this morning now. Marketers to begin direct Dangote petrol purchase. New pump price looms as national oil firm moves to dump 99 billion naira monthly subsidy. Nigerians should brace up.
Yeah, I mean, the trajectory had always been clear. It's only been a hanky-panky. The trajectory has always been very, very clear.
Now, you know, initially NNPC was playing the role of the middleman between the Dangote refinery and other marketers, but with the look of things now, NNPC seems to be pulling out of that role.
NNPC was playing an illegal role. You just go and have to read what Afe Babalola frontally addressed these issues in a two-series piece on in one of the national newspapers, and I think the second one came out maybe today or yesterday. Look, NNPC, I said it, NNPC is a player. How can you be player and referee in a match?
At the same time?
At the same time, for God's sake. That means you are playing 12 against 11. And what I don't understand is that there are regulators. There is upstream regulator. And then there is the midstream and downstream regulator. All of these activities is downstream and midstream. And there is a midstream and downstream regulatory agency. And they're just following NNPC around as if they are an appendage of NNPC. Very, very strange. NNPC will be calling meeting, and the head of the regulatory agency will be sitting down there, and then he will not talk after NNPC as Mele Kyari or the spokesperson of it. And I don't get it. NNPC will be, look, if NNPC supplies crude oil to Dangote or other refiners, they are doing so simply because they are in joint venture. It is strictly business. You understand? It is strictly business. And PIA, Petroleum Industry Action, says that there must be the one they call domestic crude allocation. Okay, what if the NNPC, what do you call it? Refineries are working. Will NNPC not supply them?
But if the NNPC is playing the middleman between the Dangote refinery and the marketers, is there no benefit that Nigerians will get from in terms of subsidizing whatever they get from Dangote before it gets to the marketers?
Even what they subsidize, it is not transparent. People, they want the subsidy to continue, certainly. But apparently the people...
Who wants the subsidy to continue?
The NNPC and the players now, they want subsidy to continue. That's just it. Okay.
If the subsidy continues, is it not going to be beneficial to Nigerians because we'll be buying apparently at a lower...
I'm not worried about... I mean, of course, I want subsidy to continue. I want there must be some sort of subsidy by government in lives of the citizens, but it is not transparent. There must be transparency. That is the challenge here. Okay, do you know? They just mention figures.
They just tell us figures. We don't know the actual figures that go into this subsidy on a monthly basis.
We don't know.
We've had so many conflicting. This is saying 99 billion. Now we've had conflicting figures in the last 6 months or thereabouts.
So why should? I mean, we are working with figures. Figures cannot be. If it is only one source of figures, why should there be conflict? Where are the newspapers getting their figures from? Should be one source. You understand? And even if it is from different sources, there is an original source where the figures should come from. So, somebody told me, somebody who should know, told me on Monday. I was shocked. He said, I should ignore them, Jerry. It is apparent that NNPC, the first one, you know, the one they call Area 5, there are two refineries in Port Harcourt. The 65,000, the original refinery that was built by Shell, 65,000, it is ready. I was told about 5 weeks ago, somebody placed a call, an internal person, and said, we're already producing. And then there was, a disruption because it's a virtually new refinery that they have there now. Virtually new.
In Port Harcourt?
Yes, the 65,000. It was built in 1965. So you see, it's a virtually new complex. But because refining takes place under intense pressure, 370, 400 degrees centigrade. So, things can happen. Even Dangote refinery caught fire, the section caught fire. You understand? Everything is under pressure. But of course, they are equipped to deal with the situation quickly. So, that's 6 weeks. Apparently, they are test running again. I think it was even in the newspaper, they're going to show the live transmission of weather. So, fact is, what NNPC has been, and the man said, what NPC wants to do is to make sure that they do not subsidize any longer. That is what is causing the delay.
And
And they have they have made the move now.
so what will now be the implication on Nigerians now?
The implication is that NPC said they bought at X price from Dangote. When they bought at X price, they're selling at Y price, and
Which is lower than X.
which of course lower than X.
Okay, because of the subsidy.
Exactly.
Now that NNPCL is pulling out of that
So
middleman role.
let's and you know the marketers are saying they've been calling for a meeting with Dangote, but Dangote is shying away from that meeting.
That they want to have a direct access to
Yes.
Dangote refinery.
Yes.
Okay.
The problem is that, you see, Dangote, I guess Dangote doesn't want to be accused of selling at high price. Dangote is operating from an export processing zone. We should not forget that. And of course, that means whatever it takes, whatever people go to lift there, it is an export transaction, and it will be done in foreign exchange. And when it is done in foreign exchange, it will be determined by the prevailing exchange rate.
But now, so that means the price hike is looming as it is put in the papers now.
Apparently.
So probably we should looking at 1,350 naira per liter. But you know,
Don't forget that as we speak, I think it was yesterday, I think we spoke about don't forget that there's tension, there's war, even on the low scale going on in the Middle East.
Okay.
And the Straits of Hormuz, the places where those tankers pass through, the Yemeni Houthis are attacking vessels and all of that. And of course, Iran, the possibility of Israel attacking Iranian oil installations is already, even the possibility is already driving up the price. Nigeria's Brent crude yesterday was selling for $78. That is a critical factor that determines the price of PMS on a daily basis. So if that keeps climbing.
Okay, let's look at another issue now regarding the oil sector now. Stop crude for loan deals, Dangote tells government. Stop crude for loan deals.
Yeah, the first thing is that we're mortgaging, we're mortgaging our production.
Our future, too.
That's putting it frontally. We're mortgaging the future.
I mean, paying back loans with crude.
We'll go and collect. And then we now start paying daily. It's daily, daily allocation. Maybe 10,000 here.
Now, this crude for loan deal, is it a kind of a money they've collected in the past?
No, these are
or the money they keep collecting.
I think there are three parts to the loan. I think 3 point something, and then 2 point something. I think the whole thing amounts to a little over 8 billion. I think it was all done. I'm not sure whether Cardozo has not done one. I think maybe Cardozo negotiated one. The other two was done by the Buhari.
Okay, this particular administration also negotiated this crude for
just one. I think.
Just one.
Yeah.
Is it more profitable to do such, or okay, let's get our crude, let's sell, then we pay from the proceeds instead of paying back with crude directly?
I mean, it's like okay. Let's just use a salary earner. You are earning X amount, and then I go and take a loan. I say I'll be paying what do they call this thing? Deduction. You just direct from you. My money comes into your bank, and then you deduct from source. You are engaging you're not building a house. If you are doing a capital project, you are investing. But this one is consumption. They say they are defending. There was a time they were using it to defend the Naira.
Now, the Dangote is saying that deal should be stopped. Can it be stopped? Dangote is urging the federal government stop crude for loan deals. I think probably some people will say probably he's trying to say that so that he can get more quantity.
I don't think it's about. No, Dangote will sell his products. It's not about. Dangote will sell his. You wait and see. If they don't even buy products from him, if they cannot afford to buy his PMS, Dangote will, even what Dangote have been producing, he said he was selling 90-something% outside the country. No stress. Dangote Refinery Limited has been hailed globally as a game changer. Not even just on the continent alone, that it will have global impact. 650,000 single train refinery. I mean, it doesn't need rather than taking 1 million barrel liters here, 5 million there. Then okay, and then the people will be doing contracts. You understand? Okay, you supply us for another 5 years. They may even pay
upfront.
You understand? When you know that from one source your supply is guaranteed. This is a brand new refinery.
Okay.
So why would I now say, okay, I'll do 5 million liters there, I'll do 7 here, I'll do 3 there, when I can get my 20
Okay. Now, because of our time, before we move out of this oil sector issue now, some stakeholders in the oil industry have come out to say that, okay, there's no big deal if Nigerians are buying petrol at 1,200, 1,300, 15 naira per liter. That's no big deal. There are some countries all over the world that are more developed that are even paying more per liter of petrol. What do you make out of that?
You see, when people say things like that, what is the minimum wage in those countries?
In those countries.
What is the standard of living? There are so many. It's the same thing that goes when Nigerians say a cup of coffee in New York is $2.50. And I say to you, okay, in those guys that run around with their bikes, they do coffee. I don't think it's more than 500 naira. It cannot be up to 500. So let's change 500 naira to dollars. Is it up to 50 cents? That is where some of these comparisons don't work. Okay, you take a call, let's say akara is 100 naira. You take 4 or 5. Then you do a call 100 naira too. That's under 1,000 naira. You have a decent meal, maybe for night. So that's not $1. So with all these comparisons, sometimes they do not work. But the basic thing is the minimum wage and the standard of living. West African countries, do you notice the CFA, the French franc, is stronger than the naira now? That's one of the reasons why we don't have some of these food products in the south anymore. Northerners prefer to export it to francophone countries, in Niger, Chad, and all of that. You understand? So the value of the naira is critical in this regard. And you see, how much has the NNPC contributed to the Federal Accounts Committee in this year? How much? We're not hearing from them. Other things, all of this is coming from, and that's why a lot of taxation here and there is going on. Federal government is doing a lot to try and get resources, but I'm worried when people say, "Look, ask." One day before yesterday, my wife went to buy 2 bags of yam in the neighborhood. You understand? And the woman was saying the major factor driving the cost of food is PMS. And some people are saying West African countries.
In Saudi Arabia, they pay more.
Look,
in this, they pay more. So why are Nigerians complaining that there's no big deal?
Minimum wage in Nigeria is 70,000 naira.
And not forgetting the fact that virtually all, like 85%, if not more, than the livelihoods of Nigerians is tied to petrol.
PMS. People drive Okada. Or number one, commercial activities, as in transport, is tied to PMS. It's tied to PMS, and it is driving people crazy in this country right now. Food. I remember a few years ago, about 3-4 years ago, I was asking one man, I think the weather was cold towards the end of the year, and I'm informed that may aid the production and quality of palm oil. And the man told me 3 or 4 years ago, and the man said, well, he said, yes, there will be a lot of palm oil. And he added the proviso, provided the cost of transportation remains stable. That was even 3 or 4 years ago. Not to talk of now. It is driving people crazy.
All right, let's move away from that. It's 10 o'clock on Solutions 93.9 FM, still on from the dailies. It's a convenient point for us to go to River State now. River State has been in the news for quite a number of months now. And things took a drastic turn on Monday after the local government election, which was held on Saturday. And looking at the account of the Nigerian Tribune this morning, Rivers, obeying rule of law will avert anarchy. Wike. Fubara sets up 7-man panel to probe arson killings. Mixed reactions trail Rivers' conflicting orders. Now let's start from that. The conflicting orders, court orders in River State. There was a court ruling from the River State High Court instructing INEC to present the 2023 register to the River State electoral, the RCEC, for them to be able to conduct the local government election, and also instructing the police and the law enforcement agents to provide adequate security during the election. 6 days before that election, a federal high court came out with a conflicting and entirely different order, saying that INEC should not release the register to RCEC, and that the Nigerian police and other security agencies must not be involved in that election. What is are these conflicting court orders not doing more damage to our democracy?
Well, it is unfortunate that we are in this situation. When people talk about restructuring Nigeria, I think it is patently clear to people now that
because now, so before you do that, I mean, Wike was granting an interview yesterday. He was insisting that Fubara, who is the sitting governor, failed to stick to the court order, and Fubara came out earlier that he is following the court order that instructed him to go ahead with the election. Probably we should take a listen at what Wike had to say, because Wike, well, yesterday we played a clip where Fubara said he had done everything possible to persuade Wike, that he had even knelt down many times to beg Wike to let peace reign.
Yoruba say Idobale ko ki n sewa.
Idobale ki n sewa. But let's listen to what Wike had to say concerning the fact that Fubara never knelt down. That why would Fubara even kneel down for him? And let's listen to other things he had to say.
Why should you kneel down? What offense did you commit? Did you commit an offense to kneel down? If you knelt down, what are you kneeling down for? It's not correct. The point I'm making, by the intervention of Mr. President, and I say, look, Mr. President cannot, as a father of the nation, cannot come and call you and say, look, this should be done, this should be done, this should be done. And we said, okay, Mr. President, we are going to comply. And we did comply. And then you started playing tricks. You say, this is not the way things are. If that is the case, when there's violence, when there's instability, it is for you to ask question. What has led to that violence? What has led to instability? What has led to destruction? If at all, it's very key. I've said, I was a governor. I've always obeyed the rule of law. You heard the governor said that our state is turning to a state of anarchy where people do not obey the rule of law, where people do not obey the rule of law. What is obeying rule of law? You must respect. You must obey the judgment of courts. You must not take the law into your hands. It doesn't matter how you see that judgment. The moment you don't obey court judgment, we are inviting anarchy.
Yeah, we need some Wike there, the FCT minister, talking about the court judgment now. The question is, which of the court judgment? What's is Wike talking about now?
You see, it is most unfortunate because I'll go back again to the issue of our warped federation. The Federal High Court and the State High Courts. What is the Federal High Court started out as Federal Revenue Court, and then the amendments, and then eventually the Federal High Courts were granted the powers of the High Court and the FCT. FCT High Court. And why? That was what the original intent meant. Why will you grant Federal High Court? That started out. And then, of course, politicians started exploiting it. In fact, maybe it was politicians. Well, it wasn't like this in 1979 Constitution. But in the 1999 Constitution, then I think they were granted the same powers as the State High Court. Which in essence means, okay, I'm governor. If the judiciary were to be independent and seen to be so, you understand? Seen to be so. Why? Yes, I know that if two judges, even two individuals, look at this a particular case, the same case, and same facts, you understand, presented, you might come to different conclusions, certainly. You understand? Okay. There's no doubt about that. In some instances, you look at the facts, same facts, but you will have different perceptions. But I do not understand why a court will sit and say and make pronouncements that the police must not provide security during elections, which is tantamount to saying that the police should not carry out its constitutionally prescribed and mandated duty, which is securing lives and property and maintaining public law and order. Going by Nigeria's history regarding elections, and then the judge issues such an order. It sounds mischievous. I repeat that judge must be investigated. How do you give such an order? That the police must not secure lives and property and preserve public order?
And that was coming from a Federal High Court.
That was coming. I don't even want to brand the court from a judge, a court in this land. That's in itself is subversive, I might say. But you see, we need this thing they call restructuring. It is beyond restructuring the political landscape. It is clear now. And then the restructuring must include the financial autonomy of the courts and the financial autonomy of the courts and of the state assemblies. Believe you me, if you're going to go far with this thing that is called democracy and federalism, especially.
Now let's look at the jurisdiction. I mean, which court has the jurisdiction to decide on local government election? Is it the Federal High Court or the Rivers State High Court that gave the judgment that the election should hold and things should go the right way?
I was looking at the issue of jurisdiction. Look, the Constitution, I think 1999, at least the Nigerian Constitution, granted the Federal High Court the same powers as that of the State High Court. So they have jurisdiction.
Okay.
They have jurisdiction. Regarding whatever can come before a State High Court, then the Federal High Court have the same powers in that regard. So, the issue of jurisdiction, they have jurisdiction. They have jurisdiction.
Okay, now, so still talking about River State, Wike is talking about a particular court order.
Yeah.
Barra standing on a court order. Is that not that's where the confusion is?
As if there was no other order. I mean, is he oblivious of an order, preceding that, and contrary to the order given by the Federal High Court in Abuja? And you are insisting, of course, you will insist. I mean, if it is your own party, I mean, party as in, side, or party to the case that went to court. Of course, apparently it was Wike's party, his own side, that went to court and was granted those reliefs. So that's why he's and of course, Fubara too is insisting that the court has given him
the go-ahead.
The go-ahead. So, you see, the problem with this is that you will not have to go to an appellate court. And the appellate court our appellate courts are weighed down by tons, I'll call it tons and tons of cases. And I've said it repeatedly, when the issue of divorce is there, when the issue of land in Latte, you take it to the appeal court. When the issue of land in Orile, what does the appeal court know about the land in Orile? What does the Supreme Court know about land in Erua? You understand? So unless we decentralize, unless we unbundle, I keep saying it, people think the challenge we have is just about the political structure. What if we revert to regionalism and all of that, and we still maintain all this? The independence, autonomy. I see these things in the media space. The governor is presenting cars to high court judges. I say, what's the meaning of that? Maybe they have their own budget, Abi? Which provisions have been made for vehicles and all of that? Why is it that the governor that is presenting cars to, as if they are doing that? In one of these southwest states, a high court judge gave an order that the state government should go and comply with the procedure. Simply asking the state to go and comply with procedure. Not a judgment against the state. Go and comply with the procedure in choosing the king.
All right,
and then the governor flared up and said, which judge in this state has the audacity to give a judgment and order against me?
A governor saying that.
As if he was the state. You understand?
All right, let's still looking at this River State crisis. We want to talk about the key players now. Let's look at the role the Nigeria police played in the whole saga. Now, let's start from the pre-election, that is the local government election. We played a clip here on Monday where Fubara was saying that the policemen were trying to stop the operations of the River State Electoral Commission to do that. He had to come there.
Yeah, you played the clip on Monday.
Now, on Monday, that same Monday, it was reported that it was immediately after the policemen guarding the secretariat left that these places were attacked. Yeah. Some people now begin to wonder, and there were clips. There were clips of some policemen cutting away ballot boxes during the election, which were viral and authenticated too. Now, it's just like, okay, the moment the police officers guarding the secretariat left this premises, they were attacked. Why would they all evacuate? Knowing how sensitive the situation around, so people are they're accusing fingers pointing at the police now that they are being biased in the whole thing.
You see, standard procedure is that what was the original purpose there? To seal, Abi?
To seal, yeah.
To seal the local governments. As a result of the conflict of some people saying they are the new local government chairman, and the other party is saying our tenure has not lapsed. You came to seal. And when the IGP gave the order of unsealing, standard security procedure is that when you step away from sealing, and there is a new administration in place, newly elected, in such circumstances, your next fallback position is not evacuation, or you unseal and you step back to protect.
That's it.
This is public property. Public property.
So what they did was they unsealed and they left. And immediately after they left, the attackers
That
came.
in itself is a serious security lapse, which has to be interrogated. Knowing, there are security reports Every day, the head of every government institution, and I mean not necessarily institution, parastatal departments, agencies, you get security report. Even if it is the usual, there's some you just say cool and calm. That's the security report. They do security reports every day. Now, they have security reports. They can't deny they don't have it. The police is the primary security, is the primary agency responsible for internal security. They cannot deny they don't have it. But we're going to give them the benefit of doubt. I'm not going to outrightly condemn or accuse the police in whatever form, but that looks untidy.
But the governor has put up a panel to probe the entire incident.
I think the governor of Rivers State is challenged in his deployment of words. I listened to him, and he said, "We know where this is coming from," and then you set up a judicial panel to probe what you know where it's coming from.
He already said he
said it. He said, "We know where this is coming from."
We played it here yesterday.
I mean, that's ridiculous. I know it is a challenge
But he probably said it out of anger, out of annoyance.
I've noticed that. I have noticed that about Fubara is a simple, straightforward person. But when you are interfacing with the public, you can't withdraw those words. You understand? He almost used a curse word.
Yeah,
you remember?
When he was referring to the
police.
to the police, yeah.
He got himself, the word did not come
watched
out,
his mouth.
but the trajectory was clear. But he pulled back. You see, you watch Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he speaks in measured tone, and that is for you to get your thoughts and words out carefully. Even look at Wike, the normal abrasive Wike, he knows that's a tricky one. You know that was a tricky terrain. He was not ranting, he was picking his words. The normal Wike will rave and rant, but he knew that was slippery terrain, and he knew the person that was engaging him.
Yeah.
So he had to revert to
the calm expression of Wike.
Or else one word
will blow up the whole
you
thing.
can't take it back. So you set up a panel to probe, and you say, we know where this is coming from at the inauguration of the panel. Or at the announcement. So you can't be, the answer, and then you are walking back to the question. No. And I'm asking, who are the people? Are they members of the panel? Or are they just judges and civil servants? Who are the people on the panel? You understand? And of course, we have seen this before. They always set up one panel in Oyo State and indicted everybody in order to make sure that somebody did not become governor. It's not nice. They should find a way. They should simply say the security forces should investigate. You understand? Investigate. They know
probably they suspecting bias on the part of the security forces.
You give them benefit of that. You will see what will come out of this. They will indict people, and then they will not go ahead and say they should not take part.
Okay, comrade, as we gradually round off on the program, court affirms Abure as the Labour Party national chairman. I remember there was a convention. We spoke about it on this platform when it happened. There was a convention where Abure was elected as the national chairman, which the National Working Committee kicked against. Even the presidential candidate of the party at the last presidential election in 2023, Peter Obi, kicked against it too. Now the court has reaffirmed is that election. Well, I remember you said it that it was an RNG convention that day.
Yeah, but the guy is a lawyer.
Talking about Julius Abure.
Abure is a lawyer. He will know how he will maneuver to comply with.
But was that convention actually an RNG convention? Because INEC took part. And I believe anything INEC takes part in is
confers legality on it. That is why I said Abure is a lawyer, and he knew how to maneuver to comply with the critical legal elements. I was shocked when the Obi and that governor, their only governor.
Oti?
I was shocked.
Oti, yeah.
What did they call their own meeting? Did they call it? How did they? Because I was actually surprised. Though. They met inside the governor's lodge, and they said they appointed a caretaker committee. I was surprised. I'm telling you.
Now, Oti and Peter Obi have responded to this recent court judgment, saying that they are appealing this court judgment, affirming Julius Abure as the.
It's an appellate court, Abi. Is it the High Court? It's the appellate court. A court of appeal. Now the problem is this. You see, before Abure arranged that convention, that is when it should have been stopped. You understand? That is when the man should have been stopped. That is when they should have stopped him.
Okay, I think I'm trying to read
it's
the
an
story.
appellate court.
No, it is not.
Okay.
The Federal High Court in Abuja on Tuesday affirmed Julius Abure's position as the national chairman of the Labour Party. The presiding judge, Justice Emeka Onwite, in a ruling issued an order compelling the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to validate and recognize the Abure-led leadership of the party.
The bottom line is that this will go to an appellate court.
Okay.
The appeal court. And then they will be tearing at each other. Labour Party.
Which is meant to be another opposition party to checkmate the activities of the ruling party. We know PDP is already in crisis at the moment. Now the Labour Party.
You know, Labour too has been in crisis for a long time.
For a long time. So, which gives APC, the ruling party, a free hand to a free run, which the PDP didn't enjoy.
The free run is because APC is in power at the federal level.
But PDP was in power at the federal level at a point, but he didn't have a free run because he was met with he was confronted by strong opposition.
Which opposition? By 2003, AD was gone. APP became AMPP, and then CPC came out of it.
Okay. But when there was a coalition
of strange bedfellows,
they came up with the APC and APC,
new PDP,
APC, whatever way that made up that APC, but APC provided a strong opposition to checkmate the activities of the PDP towards the end.
In 2014,
towards the end of the reigns of the PDP.
In 2014, that was 15 years after PDP's reign of impunity. Under Obasanjo, and it continued on and on. It was a reign of impunity. Okay. Now, what we have now is that, look, somebody told me, he said, even the, what do you call that man? Obi's emergence in Labour was part of the Tinubu shenanigans. Of course, Obi thought he had a platform. Do you imagine if Obi was still the first presidential candidate of Atiku? Do you think PDP would have lost? PDP wouldn't have lost. The Southeast is a traditional stronghold of PDP. So, how come? And the man, what do you call that man? The man that's the leader, Professor, what is his name? Patutomi, gently and quickly vacated the space for him. Even the chairman of PDP, what's the man, the former chairman of PDP? The man from Benue. Yocha Ayu was said to have been boasting around that even if Tinubu won, he was in a better position than even being the chairman of PDP. And as soon as Tinubu won, the man left the position. Why didn't he leave when the demand was saying leave for the sake of the party? The man did not leave, but as soon as I think one court arrangement came and he left. Look at what PDP is today. PDP and now the two critical parties, PDP and Labour, tearing apart. And they will go to court, and then they will go to our federal court, go to appellate court, go to Supreme Court. And then even when they are done at the Supreme Court, they will start another battle. They will look for another issue and start another battle.
Another one.
You know, and then so rather than concentrating on fighting a common enemy, It's strategy. And the problem is that when these parties do not stand for anything, but of course, at the end of the day, they stand for something. Power, the pursuit of power. That was what brought all those people together in 2014. Let's get power. And they shared, I like politicians, and they shared the power. CPC took presidency. ACN took vice presidency. New PDP took Senate presidency.
It's all good. Comrade, that's the much we can take today. Thank you very much for
My
being a part
pleasure
of the
always.
program. We'll be back again tomorrow morning for a fresh edition of From the Dailies on Solutions at 93.9 FM. My name is AYODEJI LAFENWA, wishing every one of us a winning Wednesday. Good morning once again.
Love has found its way in our hearts today.